And I find fundamental gap. They're good at numbers, but they're not good at interpreting those numbers. What I recommend is, do not just play in the numbers, go beyond that. What I recommend is to understand the stakeholders. Who is the stakeholder of your role? Is it the people and culture team or HR team? Is it an administration team? Or is it a technical team? Or it's your supervisor or a senior management team or the board of directors or shareholders or entire public?
Welcome to episode 8 of the Offshore Accountant Podcast. Today, we have as guest Mr. Basanta Pandey. He is a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants or ACCA. And today, we'll be talking about his professional journey and his journey from ACCA to CFO. So, Mr. Pandey, welcome to the Offshore Accountant Podcast.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. So, Basantaji, let's begin from the beginning. Since you are a fellow member of ACCA, I'd like to start from the beginning. Why did you choose ACCA? Why did you choose accounting as a profession?
So I have a very interesting story behind this one. When you talk about the beginning, I'm going really a very beginning at the day zero. When I was studying class 9, I was good at accounts. I used to be like whatever kind of questions is given by my account teacher, I used to solve that. And that case is I grasped a good debit credit knowledge. And not only that, I used to do some, like we and a few friends used to have supplementary books with us. Not just a single book that is prescribed by the school. We used to have multiple publication books. So, including all the science, mathematics, I used to practice different publication of accounts book.
Right.
And it was very interesting part that the accounts teacher used to pick up the questions, saying that it's an extra question from another publication. And me, I used to already used with that kind of publication, I used to solve that. I used to say instantly,
Right.
like this is that, because I will practice. And that way, my account teacher convinced me that, okay, Basant, plan for chartered accountants degree. And at that time, I didn't know what does that mean. And then I passed SLC, and after I gave my board exam, at the time it used to be board exam, so there's no concept in GPA. It's right now, currently. And as soon as I gave, there was a kind of good gap. Few days after I gave SLC, right now it's SE.
Right.
I was asked by one of neighbor shopkeeper to prepare a financial statement. The main story comes from now.
Right.
Yeah, I just gave the background at the beginning. And I said, that's not a big deal for me. I used to prepare financial statements, and then I was good at balancing the figures because there was a concept called suspicious account at the time.
Right.
We used to do that. Now, currently, there's no concept called suspicious account. Everything should be balanced.
Right.
There's no option for that case. So I was good at that case. I prepared one financial statement, and then it was very difficult at the time because I don't have a computer at my home. And then I used to prepare in my written copies. I had to prepare everything as a PL, everything has to prepare format. I still remember there was 4 or 5, trials to prepare the financial statement.
Right.
At that early stage, I used to prepare. I still remember balance sheet was there, profit loss statement was there, and cash flow was the difficult part which I could not balance.
Right.
It's what was very difficult. I called him as an uncle, told me that, okay, I'm going to send this to my bank. I'm going to apply the loan for the bank. Okay. And if you could add other few years projections, that's not big deal for me. I was good at maths. So I was just applying the numbers. And then, I did similar. I just asked, okay, what is your plan for the next year?
Yeah.
I just said simply, okay, this lakhs I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep that loan with the stock. I'm going to do this and that. Okay, that's not a big deal. I did that.
When you just did your SE, so
Yes.
So for the viewers who do not know, SE is 10th grade, or it is equivalent to O-levels internationally,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So you have just finished your O-levels and you are preparing financial statements for a shopkeeper. You are also making projections for the coming years so that the shopkeeper could apply for a loan.
bank loan, correct.
Right.
And then, okay, I did prepare after around, I think it took around 1 week to make that. And then I went to a cyber cafe, computer cafe, and then I converted that into Word file.
Right.
There was no concept. I didn't know the concept of Excel.
Right.
And prepared that in a Word file. Okay, it was very struggling work for me.
Okay, so first it was in your notebook, right?
Yes,
Pen and paper.
Yeah.
And then you translated it into Word.
Word file. Not,
Right.
I'm again repeating, it's not in the Excel set.
Right.
So it was in a Word file. Anything goes wrong, I had to read all the numbers.
Right.
So it was very tough for me. And then I gave the shopkeeper took what? Well, there was 4 columns
Right.
of financials. They gave to the bank processed, bank was convinced with the projections. And then plus obviously there's some kind of like business discussions was done.
Right.
Now it's at the type of a loan approval thing. And then the next day, I think after around 15 or 16 day, the shopkeeper uncles came to me and said, "Basant, you need to sign here."
Right.
That's nothing, no big deal.
Right.
Signing the financials that I made, I signed it. That paper went to once again to the bank, and bank asked, "Okay, who is this guy who is signing?"
Right.
Now bank asked, "Is he a chartered accountant? Is he an auditor?" The bank asked.
Right.
And my fellow uncles so told, "He's just an SLC pass guy."
Right.
Right? Now the situation turned around.
Right.
And my uncle came and said, "Okay, Basant, so you have prepared you did wonderful job, but the bank is asking the signature of auditor."
Right.
And I was just, oh my goodness. I did prepare all those things.
Right.
The loan was about to pass, approved. And now the guy is saying that there is one independent professional requirement to get that document signed. Oh my goodness. That means on that day, it clicked at my head that I should go for the qualified professional accounting field.
Right.
And then I explored the chartered accountancy part. Actually, before on that, there was some discussion going around at my home as well. Which qualifications should I study?
Right.
Being in a medium-sized family, like none of your seniors are good with studies. I was only one who had passed SLC in a quicker path. And everybody was thinking to make me teach or send to the doctor qualifications.
Right.
And being honestly, I'm from very, very medium-sized family. We could not afford doctor qualification.
Right.
So what I said, my mom said is, okay, doctor qualification is after a few years, you study right now.
Right.
We'll sell our whole property. You go on. And then what I did is, okay, after exploring, then I went to A-levels.
Right.
I got scholarship as well. That things were still hammering on my mind.
Right.
Okay, that qualification
So
signature.
for the A levels, were you studying science or were you studying accounting?
Science.
Okay.
And then I did not got a full scholarship,
Right.
but I got a partial scholarship because it was very good to times for A-levels part. And we again reached out to some colleges. So they said, okay, A-levels is also good, is good qualification. If you try non-science streams, I could guarantee you full scholarship. Few of the colleges offered me that one.
Right.
And then I decided, okay, no problem, I have to study A-levels, I don't care. So I did reach out that. And at the back of the mind was hindering me that, see, how can I make that my signature valuable? That was the thing hunting at my mind. And then later on, okay, as soon as I got a scholarship, I was running here and there. And middle time, there was some education fair. So where FCCA, Chartered Accountancy, was promoted.
Right.
And I had one bicycle. I used to take that bicycle and run wherever I can.
Right.
Because what I preferred was there was some kind of brisk course concept. I ignored that one.
Right.
One of my senior sister told that brisk course, if you do it, it's better for other students, but not for you.
Right.
That sister gave me that advice, so I ignored that one. So I used to go and learn a lot of the qualifications, like what suit which I did myself.
Right.
On that part, I lost 2 bicycles, by the way. If my mom is looking at now this podcast, and if she could relate that, she could She might be sitting on somewhere sofa and recalling those moments. She was scolding me. Say, you lost the bicycle. I was, and that, like when it was falling at night.
So by lost, you mean were they stolen or?
Yeah, stolen.
Okay.
I just kept
Right.
the bicycle at one side and went to the career fairs, and went to research everywhere else, Putal Sadak area, Baguzad area, everything done,
Right.
Brigade Mandap. And when I came back, there's no cycle,
Mm.
the place. And I still remember at one time I reached home at 9 p.m. and I got a very bad scold. It was second loss of my cycle.
Right.
And that was the story, like how did I start it. And then I explored the chartered accountancy degree, and then I had a multiple discussion with the CA institutes. Some of them saying, okay, body weight, you're not past +2 as well. Go first, complete the +2 income.
You were already convinced that you want to go for a certified accountancy
Yes.
course
Yes,
before you even passed your
+2.
+2 or A levels,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Okay. I also want to come back to the story of the shopkeeper, because in the O levels, if I'm not wrong, you are not taught how to project for future financials, right? How did you get into mind that I can do projections for more than 3 years for a business, even before having done it in the textbook there first?
Since my childhood, like I said already, that I'm a bit from the medium-sized family. So I used to teach the students. Interestingly, I used to teach the students of fellow schools. I used to study and teach my fellow schools. And I had gone some kind of opportunity to understand the business their parents were on.
Right.
When we're talking. On that note, I built up some kind of, business understandings. So as soon as I deal, and my mom has not studied much, but she has very good understanding on the business.
Right.
Any of the cases I used to learn, study, I used to share with the mom, and my mom used to make me understand from the business side, what is the real world going on.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember at one time I was studying some kind of manufacturing, cycles part in my studies. Like this, in our +2, there was some in the more background about the question.
Right.
Let's say ABC is a manufacturing industry. Below are the extract of the information that you need to take care from the financial statement.
Right.
So I used to be a bit curious, what does this manufacturing industry is from the practical aspect.
Right.
So as soon as I read that question, I used to ask my mom, I've got this question. Do you know what does this mean?
Mm. So you used to go to the background of the whole story.
Correct.
Other students, an average student would just look at the question, look at the figures, try to answer that, tally the numbers and get done with it.
Yeah.
But you used to say a manufacturing company, maybe let's say a chemical manufacturing company. What does a chemical manufacturing process look like?
Yes.
So what is the financial process? So you used to go to the background and try to understand the business, not just the accounting side of it.
Correct. So I still remember my mom explaining me about the manufacturing in terms of clothing.
Right.
So I have small remembrance of that as well. She asked me, do you know that what you're wearing for, how is it made? I was surprised why my mom is asking this one question. So, and then she explained me the process. And on that day, I realized, okay, that the simple piece of shirt is being made of a lot of things. Raw materials of threads. We have a buckram cord, pastings, buttons, needles. A lot of hooks are from the manuals, all the streaming machines, and we have interlock system as well. They're so complicated things. And I was just thinking, okay, oh my goodness, how do you think from the financial side now? How do you account for the spending of the raw material, that thread? How do you keep the record of that buckram? Because that buckram is coming on the roll, How to prepare that? And I was something like that. So from that day, I understand it. The industry is a different way, and due to that nature, while I communicating that on my mom's release time, the neighborhood used to come and see how I interact, and I was a bit good at mathematics. I was good in my studies, so it was my neighborhood had this guy is a bit talented guy. So on that style, I got an opportunity to prepare the projections. And he himself told me, when you make the projection, you use some estimates. So estimates is just a number, into 10%, into 20%, into 30%. So that way I started the projection. But now if I am right now doing a projection, I think a lot of things, not just into 10%, not just into 5%.
What are the assumptions that you're taking before multiplying with a certain ratio?
Yes. So right now after going the qualification, I realized they're not just multiplying thing. There are a lot of other things, assumptions. I have gained that. And now when I prepare projection, it's pretty much fair enough. And that justifies me, actually.
So back then you were good with numbers and you were also good at understanding business.
Correct.
And you prepared a financial statement for a shopkeeper.
Correct.
It was well done financial statements, but they required a signature of this certified accountant.
Correct.
And then you had inclination that if I'm making the statements, I should get the right to certify that statements.
Yes.
And so after passing your O-levels, while the rest of your peers were going into bridge course or the period between the next session for the A-levels, you were wandering around career fairs and colleges to understand how I can get into the accounting, right?
Correct.
Before your A-levels.
Correct.
First you had to do your A-levels.
Yeah. I did actually +2.
Right.
I didn't do the A-levels later on, because when I confirmed that I am going to study the qualification set, I didn't do any kind of A-level. I did a +2 in commercial science, because what I am determined to do, I will do that. So why should I waste my energy or time waste on other learning? So I directly jumped into the +2 management stream. I did good at 11, 12. The 12 I started looking for the now exploring once again. The one who told me, okay, boss, you complete +2. I went there and said, okay, boss, I've completed +2. I have given the exam. What's the next step?
Right.
And he sorts a lot of things, there's some kind of flexibility issues. There's some wrong rumors that passing CA is just a cup of tea. When you enter, it's very difficult to come out. There's an example of funnel to us. And another misconception, or let's say that when you sign, you get a lakh rupees, and that was how inspiring me. And for that time duration, since I have determination to study this chartered degree, I started teaching my own tuitions. I was good at maths, so I used to teach tuitions. I collected money from my own studies, and then I continued. Then later on, when I went to a lot of institutes, I got to know about the flexibility that ACCA gives. So passing chartered degree is not just an easy task, but you need to require time management. And what I was already convinced that my family members, I'm not going to ask any help from financial from the family members. So I started teaching tuitions. So I used to do +2 at the morning, and then my teaching tuitions time starts from 3 p.m. and ends with 9 p.m. From 3 to 9, I used to teach the students.
Right.
And interestingly, even at around 8 p.m. night, I used to have food and then again go back to teach the students, home tuitions. So that way, I gathered the mathematics.
So you used to travel to their homes to teach the students.
Yes. So that way I manage financially, and then taking about the flexibility that ACCA gives, I pick up that one, because the thing was I have to study chartered degree, and I will not be asking any financial help. So I need a flexibility to pass.
Right. So you wanted a professional certification in accountancy, and you had two options, either to go for chartered accountancy, or there also was ACCA certification. So you opted ACCA because of its flexibility.
I won't say that there's two options. Actually, the chartered degree was only one option that was remaining at my head. Which board that I have to study? I should go to the India and I study ICI board, or remain in the Nepal and study ICANN board, or I could study the global qualification ACCA in Nepal. I was remaining on these three things, and then ICI was no option for me, because I'm not allowed to move outside the country. So I have only two options remaining. Either I could study ICANN or ACCA, and when I compare the flexibility of the examination style, ACCA was a little upper hand, because at least I could work.
Right.
I could work at that time, And then at side time, I could manage time for the studies as well. Because there's some, in case of ICANN, there's some group, passing group result comes. If you give 100% effort, it's there. But working culture is very difficult. You will not be able to give it time. So I had a doubt in that case. So I did pick up ACCA as an option, started ACCA. And then as soon as I did ACCA, I continued bachelor's as well. Because, like it's one saying in our chartered accountants degree, either you pass, you become a chartered accountant or certified chartered accountant or a professional accountant. If you don't pass, you are +2 pass.
Right.
So just to ensure that my time is not wasted, I did a bachelor's BBS together.
Right.
Luckily, both came at like a similar time. I did. Yes, and after that, I did a lot of engage in a lot of industries as a part of part-time consultant or sometime like part-time bookkeeper as well. Started with the mid-size firm. Slowly and slowly, I dipped down to the industry sector, and then here now I am.
So in the ACCA as well, like in the CA course, you need to do the 3-year internship, right?
Yes.
So for the 3-year internship, did you go in the industry or did you get into an audit firm?
I did start with the audit firm.
Okay.
At the time when I started, there was a bit like differentiation between the students or the candidates from the ICANN and ACCA as well. There was a big differences kind of thing. And it was very difficult for me to even get the internship part as well.
Right.
Luckily, I did some kind of there was some kind of close relationship with my relatives, persons, and then I got opportunity for audit firm. And then I think I completed all 3 years. And then later on, I continued with the corporate industry.
So for 3 years, you were into public accounting with an audit firm.
Yeah.
Where you also performed public audits, and then you went into industry. So what was your first job out of when you got out of your this internship period?
So it was one IT-based trading multinational company.
Right.
So there was basically, my role was a very basic accountant because I have to, I was solely determined for me to get out of the audit firm. So I started with the basic role, and then it was an IT based. We used to import goods from the Singapore and then sell out to the Nepalese company here in Nepal.
Okay, so it was a physical goods
Correct.
supplier.
Yes.
Right.
And as well as the company used to provide service to the lot of the banking industries. Yes, so the company had a mixed nature, not just the trading goods, but also value add on the IT side sector. So that was the industry. Well, I worked for a good number of years.
Right.
I did learn a lot of corporate culture over there. I grabbed a lot of understanding on different sectors. Even I was I was sent for the to handle the inventory as well. Basically, a qualified accountant does not look after the inventory, the stock keeping, bookkeeper thing. I spent around 3 months handling this inventory. And then my boss was very interesting. He used to send me a lot of small things. I did not used to catch up with that at that time. But as soon as after 3 years or 4 years, I realized the importance of that particular period. So I did a lot of areas. I did in case of compliance, in case of governance part, and obviously the financial reporting was there, one of the key component. Yeah, and then my interest came more in case of technical side.
What kind of technical side you're talking about?
In case of IT, we have first of all, we say pre-sales thing, means a guy who has good sound knowledge on business and as well as technical basics. And then the things who can actually deploy the systems, do a technical fittings. And the next is after sales support, where we can do normal repair and maintenance kind of thing. I built up my knowledge and interest on pre-sales kind of thing.
You were doing your job as an accountant, a corporate accountant there, but you are also interested in the IT, or what goes on in the IT sector.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So, I have a bad habit that I have to go understand the nature of what does that business is.
Right.
I give an explanation of that previously. how my mom explained me about the clothing industry manufacturing. And similarly, I used to ask if anything comes in a picture, okay, let's say, okay, there is one server. And let's say, take example, the renowned name IBM server. What does this IBM server do? How does this is operating? I used to work in like that way. What are the specifications? Like we have computer, we have RAM, like resources are there. I used to explore that case. So by exploring that, I gained a lot of knowledge regarding the IT sectors, information security sectors. I blended actually my knowledge and then gathering the info. Yes, and then I did a new qualification called CISA.
You were working as an accountant in a IT-based company.
Correct.
So you were thinking like an accountant. So can a value addition be made by an accountant in the IT sector? So there is a certification for IT security certification. So
Right.
you did that.
Information system
Right.
audit. So in that part, then I decided like normal people does, I should be out of the employment kind of things. I should be doing own business.
Right.
Then my entrepreneur journey started. Then I left the job and then I started my own company where I did a lot of communication with a lot of stakeholders because I have already a PR with a lot of the IT managers. I did, with that relationship, I decided to move on with the IT audit business. I did for a couple of years and I realized still Nepal is still a basic or homegrown for the cyber security. The things are still not growing. And then, every home has a matter like, okay, buddy, you invested a lot. Where is the money coming from?
Right.
And then again, okay, see, I've invested, both my time, money, everything. And then now the spendings was increasing. My liability was increasing. And so I decided to quit the entrepreneur journey for a few time. And then I come back to the right now Fintech, where both finance and technology gets mixed up, and Fintech industry. And I'm now working, and I did I learned a lot of things. I went to a lot of departments and understand. And even now, my colleague at my office who is looking after this podcast will say, this guy is not a finance guy.
Right.
He's beyond finance.
No, when I'm talking to you right now, I also have this feeling that am I talking to an accountant or am I talking to a businessman? Because you didn't leave your certification. You added to your certification with your interest in IT. You got your CISA certification. You started your own consulting and auditing company for the IT sector.
Right.
You did it for some years, but the scope was not there because the IT industry has not developed too much in Nepal, and so because the money was not coming in, as an accountant you are, so when the income is not coming in, you again move back to your profession, and again you didn't go into public accounting, but you transitioned to finance, from accounting to finance, right? And you are currently in FonePay as a CFO of FonePay.
Correct.
Right. And what are your responsibilities now in FonePay?
So basically, normal bookkeeping is at one story.
Right.
I have been assigned or asked, or what I do is, I do ensure what I believe is finance is a lifeblood of the business.
Right.
And it's not be a kind of deterring part who would not help the business. Just we have some kind of for my few of the friends whom I know, sometimes what they do from the part of the controlling point, they do a lot of control.
Yeah.
That would actually not help the business grow. So what my function right now is to grow the business, but maintaining the financial control.
Right.
So that way my role is there. Everything comes to me. I realize, I visualize, I help my friends, colleague, a lot of things. What could this be? What could that be?
Right.
I try to increase their horizon of understanding of the business, whom come to me, and then help them think financially.
Right.
And last, I only add one sentence after that: is it financially viable?
Right.
Rest of the questions, rest of the things are not about the finance, about their own business. I ask, how do this your proposal to me are bringing would aid your business? How are you going to achieve a target?
Right.
So on that discussions, like my friends of my colleagues, all the things, every time they come to me, I raise a new question. Everything they prepared and set up like plan, I give next opinion. So like that way, I am also learning the business, and my team, all of the teams is also learning the business, finance as well, and that's how it's going on.
Right. So what I find interesting between a purely finance guy and a professional accountant who has transitioned to accounting is to finance is that he or she has the knowledge of not just finance but also compliance.
Correct.
The rules. So a finance guy might say, is it financially viable, and move forward without looking into other aspects, other tax or compliance aspects. But as an accountant, you look at the compliance side,
Yes.
and also the finance side.
Correct.
So in a big business, there are compliance guys, there are finance guys, and because you have your legs between both those, you can be a finance guy with compliance.
Sometimes even IT things.
Right.
And even my IT fellows who is working, sometimes they bring a proposal. I do ask a lot of questions. Are you prepared this one? And this, are you what?
Right.
How is this guy coming into this knowledge?
Right.
Mix of the who are working on the backend team. I refer to a backend team, that is non-tech team. They might not have this knowledge, but I ask, okay, you did this one, where is this thing? Why haven't brought up the proposal on this with this matter?
Right.
And they think, how this guy know?
Right. So you do not just look at the financial feasibility, but also the technical feasibility, whether or not it is technically feasible.
Yeah.
Because once just the numbers come to you and you see that it is financially viable, you might sign off.
Yeah.
If you were just a finance guy,
Right.
Because you also understand the IT sector, what goes into a certain project, what goes into an information system. You can also go back to the technical guys and say that this might not be feasible. So have you looked at it this way?
Yes.
And doing this has the ultimate, some projects that might have been thought of as feasible because of your intervention, has that been blocked by you or more improved by you?
It's a very interesting question. So I want to say that hasn't blocked, but it got delayed.
Right.
I can say that it gets delayed because as soon as one of the knowledgeable person asks and the front one person has not that, either you should say, okay, sorry boss, I'm not going to take this project, or you have to say, give me some time, I will study and come back.
Right.
So in that way, the project has got delayed few times, but not in case of blockage thing. I can repeat that I do not block anything. I just give time to my fellow colleague to understand it more and come back to with more justification.
Right. I might have used the wrong word, but I wanted to what I wanted to say is whether there was a rethinking to be done.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Because once it is technically said go ahead by the technical team and financially said to go ahead by the financial team, once it is gone ahead and when it is in the field and it does not work, then it is a financial burden, ultimately loss of time and loss of money.
Yes.
But when it has been rethought to be technically sound, then it can go, even if it took, let's say, 15 days delayed in the process of making preparations. When it is actually being done in the job, it will be completed. We can be assured about that.
Yes.
Right.
And I should agree, and I should make a note of myself that few of the projects had some kind of good business outcome.
Right.
Due to that process, due to that understanding between the one who brought the proposal at my end and my understanding got a little bit delayed, the business could not happen.
Right.
On that case, the few projects, I should agree that was delayed due to me.
Right.
There was a bad some kind of black dot as well. I should agree on that case. But rest of the projects has gone well. My teams are also well, like acknowledgement. They have done good acknowledgement. And always the teams are always like, good to learn from me. I learn from them.
Right.
That's interesting part of the corporate cultures.
It is never bad to get a second look at what you are trying to do, because in accounting also, in audit also, there are 4 eyes concept, right?
Right.
So when there are four eyes looking at it, we can see where there might be some mistakes that might happen. So when it is caught beforehand, even if it is delayed, the ultimate, even if it was insignificant, when you go back and look at it, it was technically feasible, but you can get rest assured that yes, we checked it, that it was actually technically feasible, and we didn't have to go into the work in the middle of the project and say whether or not it works or not, right? So that is a good thing. I think we should also talk about the company you are working for, FonePay. It is a fintech company, but what actually does it do?
I will start with some kind of basics before going into the FonePay industry. Around 1 or 2 decade ago, a few of the founders of this current company thought a great vision to make sure that all of the financial things happening on around, to make it digitized. They started from the SMS part, and then they started eSeva, okay, the famous wallet right now.
Right.
And interestingly,
so eSeva is the biggest wallet in Nepal, right?
Nepal. And interestingly, I have to admit that a lot of you also agree that it was first of its kind even in South Asia market.
Right.
After eSeva was launched, or eSeva did started a business, other players outside the Nepal was doing one. So eSeva started at the time where there was no rules for these wallet companies.
Right.
So at that initial days, it was there. So it started the transfer of the funds at the virtual accounts, maintaining some kind of compliance at that funding requirement. Then slowly, Seva tied up with a lot of business houses, a lot of banks and financial institutions, and did transfer the funds from one company to another company. And that's how the Nepal State Bank, central bank, issued a 2 type of license.
Right.
One as an PSP, payment service provider,
Right.
and one as a payment system operator. And there came the eSeva to be splitted.
Right.
So FonePay is actually the splitted company from the eSeva.
Okay. So it is a
eSeva.
spin-off from eSeva,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
So before, when eSeva started, there were no regulations as such by the central bank.
Right.
But after the financial transactions also got some traction and people started to use it more and more, because it is financial transaction, the central bank was interested in it and tried to regulate it.
Yes.
And it divided the financial transaction provided into 2 sections.
2 categories.
Yeah.
Correct.
One was payment service provider, and one was payment service operator.
So
Yeah.
operator,
But before that, eSeva was doing both.
both
Yeah.
the activities.
Right.
So, and then as a PSO means a bit of network, where a lot of banks come into the picture.
Right.
Think of one bank, Nabil Bank. Nabil Bank, if you are a user of Nabil Bank, you want to transfer a fund to Lakshmi Bank.
Right.
What was their relationship with Lakshmi Bank and Nabil Bank? You can't do it. You have to cash out from the Nabil Bank, take the cash, and then deposit to Lakshmi Bank.
Right.
So don't be, especially there are 2 different names. I'm not
Right.
like that. So this was digitized through the concept of network,
Right.
PSO. And then now a lot of banks are tied up with the FonePay, thereby transferring the fund from one account to another bank's account through the network.
Right.
So basically, PSO deals with the banking side, and bank deals with the end user customer side.
Right.
So that's how the fund transfer gets. And one fund transfer is one person to one person.
Right.
We called in our fintech would call P2P transfers. And one is from one person to the business houses.
Right.
or we can say a corporate houses, we call them as a merchants. So person to merchants. And next thing is business to business, corporate payments. Okay. These are actually linked with the network, because if you are a business, if I am a customer of Nabil Bank, a customer of Macha Bajra Bank, then how could I transfer the fund?
Right.
So you need a network. So either person to person or person to merchants in a common language.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bash Fintech and language. So just in that way, network exists. And FonePay is that network who is doing interbank fund transfer, commonly known as FonePay Direct.
Right.
And another person to merchant, commonly called as QR technology, that you see all of the shops
Right.
with the FonePay branded QRs. So you scan that QR and then your fund gets debited and the account gets credited.
Right.
So that's how the FonePay runs. So FonePay launches a lot of innovative ideas, like contactless payments, means like you don't need to scan, and the device will scan yourself. Recently, FonePay tied up with another PSO of India
Right.
called NPCI, whereby the cross-border transaction got enabled. And I think from that, as per my information to me, it was Nepal, the cross-border transaction between NPCI and Nepal, and with other countries.
Right.
Nepal has very good number of transactions, good number of technology transfers.
Yeah.
So they well appreciate Nepal and FonePay especially. Recently, they created a public press release that they have crossed a good number of transaction milestone.
Right.
And this was not an easy task. It was not an easy task. And when the technology comes into the picture, a lot of things gets handled.
Yeah.
There are a lot of data gets handled. There are a lot of data security components required.
Yeah.
And as a part of me, as a blended knowledge with information security as well as the finance, I feel myself a part of very responsible guy to make sure that holding a good position at a public company, you need to get a lot of things managed.
Right.
One eight. At another part, I feel myself privileged that I am handling the calculations accounts from entire economy of Nepal.
Right.
So we process more than 11 billion transaction of volume per day.
Right.
That's very huge number,
Mm-hmm.
and lot of data, lot of transaction counts. We do account, and it is actually promoting the digital framework of Nepal, whereby FonePay is contributing towards technology investments. A lot of awareness campaigns are run for increasing the digital literacy, how you use your fund transfers, what should you be aware of doing at the time of fund transfers. Yes, there are some kind of black holes or black spots in the market that people utilize this as an evil way, is a negative way from illegal channel as well. But we as a responsible part, we do inform our member banks, wallet members, and then they report to the Nepal Raster Bank with the suspicious kind of things as well. So actually, yes, FonePay is investing a great in technology, ensuring the payments are made a very, very easy way. Now, the FonePay has recently launched a digital credit card concept. If you have a credit card, you need to swipe your post message.
Right.
Now, that concept has been now digitized in your mobile platform. With that, you can scan any kind of QRs. Previously, you used to have to carry physical card and you had to swipe the message. Even if there was a QR code, you could not process. That particular company house had to be eased with that credit card, but it's not tension now.
Right.
Even your mobile phone, like your accounting link, you can do payments from the credit card as well.
Right.
And you're only a FonePay branded credit card.
So before you could only do QR transactions from your saving account.
Correct.
But now from your credit
Card as well.
credit card account also you can make payments through your phone.
Correct.
Right.
So that is a
by
great
using the network of FonePay. Yeah.
So that is a new technology introduced. So it's not yet fully live right now. I think few of the banks has already onboarded, which they are going on testing on the live manner, but not go on the public as expected. I think in 1 month a time that would be public users.
So FonePay is a network that provides its network to all the banks in Nepal?
Few of the banks are not yet connected with the FonePay.
Right.
Rest of the banks are already connected. Rest of the wallets, like not just bank, it is a network. So all the CISA, Khalti, IMP, all of the wallets has to get connected to create an interoperability. Few of the wallets and few of the banks has not, but almost all.
Right. So majority of the transaction, interbank transactions or intra-bank transactions also is being made through FonePay in Nepal, and also any transactions, QR transactions that are being done by Indian tourists in Nepal are also done through the FonePay network.
Correct.
And I think you are also, very snugly positioned as CFO, because you are in the fintech industry, having the knowledge of compliance, the finance, and also information security. So I think that, and we can be, we can feel safe that our transactions, our financial data are quite safe, and our transactions are smooth. When we try to make payments to someone, it gets credited as soon as possible. So that is quite an achievement. I think when we are talking about the business FonePay, now I think I'd like to shift from the business to the accounting field again, and I want to know your views on how someone, an accountant who has done who is now doing bookkeeping and accounting, can transition to finance and CFO level. What skills do you think are required?
It's very interesting. It's relevant and very important part.
Right.
So in due course of time, I have very honestly to tell you, I have meet with a lot of people, and I find fundamental gap.
Right.
They're good at numbers, but they're not good at interpreting those numbers.
Right.
So let's say a company does a gross profit margin of 10%. We know, yes, that if 10% means in 100, this making a profit of 10. But what could go wrong and what could go right using those numbers? That is a fundamental gap right now in current context. So what I suggest, what I request actually, what I recommend is, do not just play in the numbers, go beyond that.
Right.
So there are few case studies available at our end. We have big corporate failures as well. We just utilize those numbers, manipulate the things, and the scandals happen. Right. Understand that. Understanding those scandals will give a lot of bigger ideas. You will be thinking beyond that box. I often watch these kind of movies as well, where the scandals are there.
Right.
Not as a part of the negative aspects, but I want to understand what he did.
Right.
So that he or she found out the incapability of the law sanctions. He evaded the things. This will help us as a finance guy to ensure that any kind of wronggoings inside the organization, you can pick up that things, right, and alarm those to your stakeholders.
Right.
That is very fundamental gap I find right now. Other things is they have studied good qualifications. They have passed 36 months of intense experience. So these will obviously make them capable enough to handle the accounts. Beyond that, what I recommend is to understand the stakeholders. Who is the stakeholder of your role? Is it the people and culture team or HR team? Is it an administration team, or is it a technical team, or it's your supervisor or a senior management team, or the board of directors, or shareholders, or entire public?
Right.
If you understand their perception, your financial analysis, your financial interpretation, your financial working would be different.
Right.
I remember in my few of my roles, there was a good number of data. I was not asked actually by the management, but I did play around the data. I did some analysis, and I was just playing on my laptop. One of the colleague asked me, "What are you doing?" I was just utilizing my spare time, analyzing the data and building up some stories with my hand. That information got escalated to the senior team. And he was called up me, okay, what did you find? So I explained, okay, these are the things from my previous understanding. I need to go a little bit deeper. I find these things, this wrong, this right. If these things is taken care of, you will be this side. Not explaining that one. And even that management, we're not thinking at that side. So immediately my role was, I was doing some advisory role in that particular organization. There was shifted to strategic advisory. Not as part of bookkeeping normal, but strategic advisory. So that day, that also helped me to realize that not just the numbers and not about the bookkeeping. Nowadays, even if you scan the bill, we have built up a software automatically that creates a balance sheet. You don't need a person to create balance sheet. It is a human intervention required using AI or latest technology, interpret those things. What does that matters? That is very much fundamental required. So I give that suggestion. Yes, you first of all, you complete the qualification, you complete your 36-month intensive period, and then think this way. That will change the dynamics that you are engaged in, or you're planning to work in. You never know. While analyzing those data, you will become an entrepreneur. You'll never know that when that clicks to your senior management. And that is my experience, and maybe a suggestion for all the my colleagues who are studying chartered accountancy degree or ACCA, CA, CPA, CFA, any kind of degree.
You saying is that be curious.
Correct.
Be curious and go beyond what you are assigned.
Yes.
Because what I also find is that there are, when you go into accounting, either you go into just accounting, just recording of whatever the transactions have been made and whether it complies with the regulations or not, one. And the second part, when you go into public accounting, auditing, you think just like an auditor. You see whether fraud has been done or not, the same thing, whether there is compliance or not. But you do not look at the numbers from the perspective of the business.
Correct.
So if you want to transition to finance, if you want to be a finance manager or finance or CFO, you need to understand the numbers, and you need to understand the business through the numbers and how each number would affect the business and how those numbers could be used to, give more push to the business, right?
Right. So if I am allowed to that, I would like to use the word. Now, the students who are studying and the members who are past could relate this word, professional skepticism.
Right.
One word. And next is commercial acumen. So these two are the fundamental qualities that our finance guys should have.
Right.
So every time I say that I'm not wearing these specs, I'm wearing that specs.
Right.
With the professional skepticism and then the commercial acumen.
Right.
So if you take these two words professionally, the journey becomes a different.
Right. What I find is, to most of the accountants, the professional skepticism is quite easy.
Yeah.
The commercial acumen, that is something that is needed to be upped and anti.
Yes.
And how can someone improve their commercial acumen?
It's very picking the cherry fruit from the cakes.
Right.
So it's interesting, yeah. So that's not an easy task actually, by the way. Honestly speaking, that needs a lot of your curiosity, as you said. I would pick up that word curiosity on that understanding, and the person whom you are talking to. Maybe do not underestimate the relatives at home.
Right.
They're good teachers. For my case, my mom is a good teacher. She explained me the concept manufacturing industry through just the clothing and sewing machines. Even if right now, I ask a lot of my relatives how your business does.
Right.
Obviously, right, there are few of the people who are doing the good, who are doing the business good or worst.
Right.
You always get connected with those people, how they do the business,
Right.
how their business is generating financial returns, how they are preparing the financial statements. If you go in this way, you realize there's some kind of tricks they are doing, or they are trying to evade some kind of taxations. You find some kind of scandals they are doing. You get used to on that knowledge. And in addition to that, you should learn from the scandals. I still study a lot of case studies right now.
Yeah.
There are some kind of case studies even the big four firms has dealt with, provide the advisory, but they are fault.
Right.
Why is that? It's not that the big four firms has not audited properly. They have audited. They have gone through there, but the way the business is operated, the firms did not taken care of.
Right.
They might be, and I might not be saying that it will be offended through my big four firms colleagues. They might have aware of this kind of, see, this is the scenario, it will be a worst in this situation. This understanding might not have been understood by the managers in the organization. So you as a finance guy can help that bridge the gap.
Right.
So maybe this kind of understanding will create a interesting commercial acumen, business understanding, and your link of your study to the business.
Right.
So that's how I think can be gain the.
So if you are a student and you are studying, whatever you are studying, try to go back into the business of that.
Right.
And if you are doing, if you are already passed over, if you are already a professional accountant, what you can do is you can take experiences from others' experiences, from books, documentaries, and other case studies, and also build a network of people who are business minded.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And have more conversations with them, and through that you can pick up business understanding. And the business of the bygone days were simpler, but with data and everything now, you have to have understanding of business, you have to have understanding of IT, you might need to have understanding of marketing. So you having just the professional accounting degree is not enough. You might also need other qualifications of business related qualifications. You do not need to go and get another certification, but be curious and
Yes.
and take that knowledge.
I'll share you one very interesting story. I was caught into it. You have heard about cryptocurrency, right?
Yes.
So cryptocurrency is one of the interesting matter. That's interesting from the outer world, but in case of Nepal, it is illegal,
Right.
as stated by the Nepal State Bank. Even when the Reserve Bank of India did some kind of research and decided to opt positively on that part case, there was a research from Nepal State Bank, and they did conclude that cryptocurrency is now not currently feasible to move ahead.
Right.
Few of the friends asked me, okay boss, let's say NRB had decided this wasn't legal. How do you account for it? How do you account for it?
Right.
Okay. So there is fiat currency, the hard cash, and here now it's a digital currency. Even Reserve Bank is thinking of building that right now currently.
Right.
But at that point of the case, cryptocurrency is that currency which do not exist yet.
Right.
And interestingly, due to that currency, the people are doing trade in the metaverse kind of thing.
Right.
So how do you account for that?
Right.
So I was very, oh my goodness, I had not thought that till date.
Right.
So when that question came to me, I did some kind of research. I did refer to my IFRS standards, older standards. And a bit how, I cannot explain right now, but due to that, what I am going to say, what I'm trying to communicate is, there might be anything going to come in your head.
Right.
Any new topics going to come in your mind. It's, people assume that you are a qualified accountant, means you know everything.
Right.
Everything means everything. So you are a cup of tea where everything wants to have that feel.
Right.
So you should be always up to date what market is around. What if I was not able to answer that part to that guy?
Right.
He would say, okay, see this guy, this fellow doesn't have this knowledge. Rest of the world is accounting for the cryptocurrency, but you being a Nepalese citizen, at one side you're saying that it's illegal, and other side you do not know how to account for it.
Right.
So there is a very big question mark. Was that I did answer that part. I'm still learning that process. So that is my saying, adding on to your part.
Right.
learning shouldn't be never ending. Even right now I'm learning. I do started my career from 2009 professionally as a working part. Till now I'm learning, and my learning process will not be never ending.
Right.
What I learned during my reform was one of my brother supervisor told that, okay, do you know how to sweep?
Right.
That was a good question for me. And I said, that's not big deal, just cleaning the floor, everything. And he said, okay, try once.
Right.
And I did. And he asked me, go home, learn from your mom and come to me.
Right.
And that day I learned to sweep. Do you remember? That's an interesting part. So learning should need, and from that day, I never stop learning. Either be any kind of messenger inside my office or be a beggar from the street. I never select that.
Right.
Let's learn it. Every new things that you're going to check it. Even today when I'm sitting with you, like I'm learning a lot of things. I can't explain, but I'm learning. I'm grabbing these things.
Sure.
So that is the things that you need to develop, which will make you up to date. We use the word, that is our principal code of ethics as well, making yourself as incompetent enough.
Right.
That is the market requirement.
Last question before we go, and I think this should be a question for everybody in every episode. What do you think would be the effect of AI in the accounting industry and the finance industry?
Using AI, you give some number, but that is again a concern from the data security point of view. You give the number, you tell the AI to prepare the balance sheet. It will prepare. Recently, ChatGPT is one part, generative AI form. Recently, Microsoft has launched that called Copilot.
Right.
I use that in a demo version. It prepares it.
Right.
You don't need to be an accountant doing a debit credits. You just feed the information, it will prepare it. It will prepare the presentations for you. But as a human, what you require is, you need to understand once again, that is the reason I'm telling you understand the business.
Right.
The commercial acumen is required. It gives a lot of feed for you, a lot of things for you. Until you understand the business acumen of that case, they are nothing. Using the AI, you put mix up your business knowledge, there's nothing. Even the students come to me, because I teach few of the subject ACCA papers to the colleges, different colleges. They come to me, I find the answers similar to the use of AI.
Right.
So there's no business understanding. So being a financial guy, being an accountant, if you did not use that and use AI, that's a problem.
Right.
And I was updating myself. I learned few techniques. I would not say that you do not use ChatGPT. I suggest you use it. Actually, I say my colleagues, why don't you use ChatGPT? Why don't you use all the form of AI? But when you write it, rethink thrice. You relate your understanding and then redo. So I suggest mix up all these things with AI would be a very good part of ours. Obviously, there are some challenges using those. You get the information which is not linked. You get information which is not related to your core understanding. That is a fundamental gap. But I suggest when you ask something, you ask the AI himself, what is the source of this reference?
Right.
It will give you the reference. You understand, go through that particular original link and understand and rewrite those parts, the answer would be perfect. So this is how you use AI. I'm not saying that AI will kill off the jobs. AI is making you smart. AI is convincing you to be a smart. Yes, that's my thought on part of AI and the finance accounts field.
Now more than ever, it is necessary for accountants to be develop business acumen.
Correct.
Now you cannot hide behind I'll just keep books. I'll do bookkeeping for the rest of my life because the bookkeeping will be done by AI. Now you'll have to, the interpretation will also be done by AI, but you will have to do the interpretation of the interpretation.
Yes.
So
yes, sir. I want to repeat the word for the audience: interpretation of the interpretation.
And if you do not do it, then maybe your job will be lost. but you'll have to take it as a tool and make yourself more better than what you are today.
Right.
We have come to the end of the podcast, and Basanta ji, thank you very much for your presence here and sharing your experiences and your thoughts. We really enjoyed your experiences. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Even I also gain a lot of things. Now my practice should be like I'll see this podcast when it is on air, and then I'll be relating these things to my practical knowledge as well, because the things are never stopped too long.
Right.
Thanks.